Hey everybody, welcome back. This week we are doing another Sandra Lee semi-homemade cooking experiment. So this week we are going to be making her recipe for cream of asparagus soup. Really excited to try this one out. It seems pretty simple, very simple ingredients, comes together really fast, I think. So let's take a look at what we've got here. So I've got one package of frozen asparagus spears right here, and I've cut the tips off of a couple of them to use as a garnish. And then I've got 2 cups of chicken broth here. I've got 3/4 of a cup of cream. And then the last ingredient was one that I kind of struggled to find in the store. So I thought it was kind of ironic that Sandra Lee's her whole thing is about finding easy store-bought ingredients that you kind of whip together to make a recipe very quickly. So the last ingredient that she mentions in her recipe is white sauce, which is this very thick can of sauce that she kind of gloops out of the can into the recipe. And I could not find that at all. Like, I went to several different grocery stores, specialty grocery stores, and I was not going to order it online. So, given her description of what the white sauce was, which was cream and spices and cheese, I kind of took that to be basically just like a canned, shelf-stable bechamel sauce. So that's what I made here. So I made just a very simple bechamel with some just whole milk, a little bit of roux. I added salt, pepper, some Parmesan cheese, and just like a little pinch of nutmeg to make what I think is the equivalent of what her white sauce is. So we're going to use this in the recipe, and I will see how that turns out. So before we get into the cooking, I just have to do the one little bit of prep that she did. Like, really, you just kind of dump it all together. However, the one thing that she did was she did take her asparagus stalks and she cut them into pieces. So let me go ahead and do that to be very authentically semi-homemade. I'm going to have to do something. So let me cut these into pieces. These are lightly thawed. They're still mostly frozen, but they're going to kind of cook up in the chicken broth. So I think it'll be okay. I'm going to be blending mine up with an immersion blender. She specifically mentions an immersion blender in her recipe, but she scoffs at it a little bit as if it's an odd thing to use. And then she has her regular blender, which she uses to make a lot of her blended drinks and such. So I'm going to be the weird person that uses an immersion blender, and I think it'll probably be okay. One thing I'm kind of curious about this is, you know, this package of asparagus cost me about $2.50 for the frozen ones, whereas had I bought just regular plain fresh asparagus, it probably wouldn't have been much more expensive than $2.50. It might have actually been about the same, and it would have been a fresh, you know, having a nice fresh taste to it. So I'm already a little curious to see how this is going to save me time, especially with this white sauce situation, because I had to make this myself, and it took me, you know, a good like 15 minutes to get this together. So, so far, not saving a lot of time in that respect, but we will check and see what the final product is. So I'll see you guys back in just a few seconds, and we will put it together. All right, everybody, so we are back. I've got my chicken broth in here, and it is boiling away. I'm going to go ahead and add in my asparagus. And the instructions are pretty simple, so all I really need to do is add everything in and then kind of heat it through and blend it up. So I do like that, very simple. So the asparagus is going in. Gonna give it kind of just like a little minute to heat up. Like I said, you know, I'm really curious. I mean, I guess using the frozen asparagus saves a little bit of time, and it is convenient to just sort of open it out of the package. But really, like, it wouldn't have made too much of a difference using fresh. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm not gonna harp on it. I think it'll be okay. Alright, so I'm going to let this asparagus boil away for a little bit, and then once the asparagus is nice and warmed through, then we will add in the rest of the ingredients. Alrighty, looks like it's been going for just a couple minutes here, so that looks pretty good to go. So I'm going to add in my white sauce. It's basically cream gravy, so that's what's going in here. Cream gravy going in. And then I'm going to blend this up using my immersion blender. That's looking pretty good. Very, very foamy. All right, and then I'm gonna just add in just a little bit of salt and pepper. I will say also that I did have this recipe, so this is only half of what she recommends. And then I'm going to add in the cream just at the very end. I'm going to kind of get this all heated through. And then finish it up with the cream. I mean, it looks green. It looks like soup. Alright, now that it's kind of heated through, I'll add the cream in. And that's it. Alright, just gonna again kind of heat this through, make sure that cream is nice and warmed up, and then we'll come back for our plating and a tasting. Alright, so we are back, and you know, from start to finish, that probably took maybe like 15 minutes. So it does save quite a bit of time. Again, I had to create that white sauce from scratch. That's 30 minutes, so that may be on the semi-homemade boundaries that Sandra Lee is setting. However, given the given the instructions and everything, I think it came together really fast. It looks like soup, so that's good. It smells right, so that's good. I'm already feeling better about this than from the corn muffins, so that's better. So I'm going to take these little bits of the asparagus tips, and we'll use this as our little garnish. So I'm going to put that in the bottom, and then I'm going to put some of this soup on top. I will say that this soup does look like it's kind of separated or broken a little bit. I think that by adding everything in and then mixing it up and heating it kind of isn't exactly the best. So it does look a little broken. It looks very, very creamy, like very creamy. It looks like almost pure fat and cream, which may be okay. I'm not sure. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in, and then we're gonna top it with a little bit of cheese. All right, a little Parmesan cheese, and then we'll give it a taste test. All right, let's see how it is. So let's go ahead and give this a try. It's very green. It's okay. You know, for all of that cream and milk and stuff, it feels kind of thin and a little, I don't know, it doesn't have that sort of like comforting, creamy texture. Like I said, it's kind of thin and it feels a little separated and a little gritty. But the flavor's not too bad. I mean, really simple ingredients. It's just milk, cream, chicken broth, and asparagus. So really, that's what you're tasting, that's what you're getting. It's not too bad. For something that comes together in 15 minutes, I would eat it. It's totally fine. Thinking about how one would get around that white sauce issue, I considered using Alfredo sauce because I'm like, that would be kind of like what one might use. But then when I looked at it, it has like roasted garlic, it has like all sorts of cheeses and that sort of thing, so I didn't think that would be appropriate. If you're gonna make your own white sauce, you might as well just make the whole thing from scratch. My hope is that I'm going to revisit this and I'll do it kind of with, the long way. I'll do it with like, real asparagus, like fresh, and then, we'll kind of make it from scratch. We'll see if it tastes any different. We'll see if it costs any more. This isn't too bad. I would eat it. I'm going to eat all of this. Yeah, I'm going to eat it all. So I guess that's okay, but that doesn't really mean much because I would eat all of everything. So thanks for joining me this time, you guys, and I hope to see you guys again in my kitchen. Bye.